Washington, Congress and President Joe Biden averted a government shutdown just hours before a midnight deadline Thursday with a bill that funds the government through December 3. Congress passed the bill earlier in the day and the president signed it into law shortly after, with less than 5 hours to spare. The House voted 254 to 175 to approve the bill that raced through both chambers in a few hours. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, D-Calif, said the legislation would keep government services functioning, prevent furloughs for hundreds of thousands of workers and protect. A shutdown is not anything anyone wants, Pelosi. The Senate had voted earlier 65 to 35 to approve the At this time, at any time, it is a very, very bad thing to let the government shut down, said Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, DNY. The vote capped days of drama in Washington, where a lack of action had federal offices preparing contingency and furlough plans for if the government shut down. A deal to keep the government running materialized Wednesday evening after Democrats gave up on an effort to include a provision to raise the nation's limit. Government funding was set to expire with the end of the fiscal year Thursday at midnight. The temporary extension gives lawmakers more time to approve funding for an entire year of government operations. Avoiding a shutdown cleared one of 4 contentious financial hurdles facing Congress in the next few weeks. The House was set to vote Thursday on an infrastructure bill, the timing of which has divided Democrats. Some Democrats argued the infrastructure bill should move in tandem with a $3.5 trillion package of Biden's social welfare priorities, which is still under negotiation. It is a glimmer of hope as we go through many, many other activities, Schumer said of the funding vote. Government shutdown worries have federal offices bracing for furloughs as Congress rushes to pass funding. A shutdown would have furloughed hundreds of thousands of non-essential federal employees, forcing them to take time off without pay. Essential functions such as the military, law enforcement and air traffic control would have continued functioning, but discretionary agencies such as the National Park Service would have. A Congressional Budget Office report found a partial shutdown in 2019 cost the economy $11 billion, or more than $31 million per. They are costly and damaging, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Wednesday. The Senate voted down 3 Republican amendments to the bill that Democrats said would have scuttled it. Part of the reason the spending vote came down to the wire was because Republicans and Democrats feuded over whether to include in the legislation a provision to raise the nation's limit on borrowing. Congress must raise the country's borrowing authority by October 18 or risk a default that economists warn would be an economic catastrophe. Approval of the funding came quickly after Democrats abandoned their attempts to link the funding to an increase or suspension of the debt limit, an action conservatives and liberals agree needs to be taken so the country can continue to pay its bills and avoid worldwide. We did not have to be in this place just hours before a shutdown, said Representative Kay Granger of Texas, the top Republican on the House Appropriations. Federal government may shut down this week. Here's how that could affect you. Republicans have said Democrats will need to raise the debt ceiling on their own. On Monday, Senate Republicans blocked debate on legislation that would have addressed both extending funding for the federal government and raising the Democratic majority has begun to realize that the way forward on basic governing duties matches the roadmap that Republicans have laid out for months, said Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, "Our key. We are able to fund the government today because the majority accepted reality." This article originally appeared on USA Today. Congress approves, Biden signs bill to avert government shutdown.